Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Sunday, the 8th of June 2025, and we're providing our regular weekly update for the weekend in the 6th of June. Now, firstly, our apologies for this video appearing so late on a Sunday, and probably by the time it's uploaded, it will be very early Monday morning, as we just managed to get back from an important training course we've been conducting over the weekend. Secondly, a big thank you to all those who responded to our request last week concerning channel name and potential move into adding political comment as part of our offering. Each view and comment will be considered carefully, and we shall let you know of our proposed decision next week. Now, before we look at gold and silver, a request to help this channel reach more people. We'd appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and press the bell sign. Let's now look at how markets have performed and how they closed and what we can expect this coming week. Gold rose $10 last week, rising from $3,293 to $3,313, having hit a high of $3,404 and a low of $3,302. Gold spread between high and low was $102. Last week we predicted gold would trade between $3,230 and $3,400, which it did, save for $4 very briefly on Thursday. In sterling terms, gold fell £6, closing at £2,450, and in euros it fell €5, closing at €2,908. Silver rose a dramatic $2.93, closing at $36.03. having been as high as $36.60 and as low as $32.99. Difference between its high and low, $3.61. Last week, we predicted silver would trade between $32 and $34.50, and clearly it outperformed even what we considered a relatively realistic upper outlier. We shall discuss silver's rise and why it may have occurred later in this podcast, though quite frankly, traders are somewhat bemused, and there is a view it might be slightly overbought. However, a tight market will produce these sorts of results. In sterling terms, silver rose £2 and 11 pence, closing at £26.67, and in euros it closed at 31.63 euros. That's up 2.66 euros. Obviously, the gold to silver ratio fell dramatically, over 7 and very nearly 8 points, from 99.7 to 1 to 92 to 1. Now, just a reminder, did you give this video a thumbs up? If you haven't, please do so. And if you don't wish to do that, at least please subscribe if you haven't already become a subscriber. Bitcoin is up $2,300 and standing at $106,300. Equities are higher. Dow Jones up 492 at 42,762. The S&P up 89 at 6,000, and the Nasdaq Composite up 416 at 19,529. The FTSE Index closed at 8,837. That is also higher. Oils are up, unfortunately. Brent crude up $3.69 at 66.47, and WTI crude up $3.79 at 64.58. The dollar index was down 0.2 points on the week at 99.1. Now, we shall mention some of the data which impacted prices in a few moments, but this coming week we have CPI inflation data for May being announced on Wednesday. Markets are expecting a year-over-year increase from 2.3% to 2.5% and a core rate increase from 2.8 to 2.9%. If the figures are better than this, then we could indeed see precious metals rise significantly. However, if they're worse, then the excitement in silver may fall back temporarily. So most of the action will be the result of Wednesday's figures. Now, last week we saw gold rise slightly while silver rocketed. From a technical analysis point of view, gold attempted a breakout this past week but failed, which could, some argue, lead to further weakness. It ended with a bearish shooting star weekly candlestick pattern, which could suggest a change of direction. Our view currently is that really it's in a consolidation range and could burst out once interest rates begin to decrease, which potentially because of last week's figures, could be sooner than some think. Certainly that's what the markets are hoping for, though we would be surprised if we saw a rate cut in June. We seem to have strong support at around the 3,200 level and quite considerable resistance so far at $3,500. Now, traders are putting perhaps most of the responsibility for gold's failure to advance on the non-farm payrolls last Friday being better than anticipated, with 139,000 new jobs announced for May against expectations of 125,000. But that said, the ADP employment report on Wednesday was lower than anticipated, with 37,000 new jobs against expectations of 110,000. Hourly wages have risen from 3.8 to 3.9 year over year, and the unemployment rate has held fast at 4.2%. Silver, however, tested 13-year highs, and traders are excited, now suggesting $50 could be in their sights. We're even hearing comments such as super cycle. For the first time since we began this channel, we can now see $50 silver not being that too far away. It's only been 13 years after all. With the gold to silver ratio at 90 to 1 and silver normally lagging gold only then to surpass it, we could indeed see the gold to silver ratio reduced to 80 in very short time. We don't mean next week, but not in the very long distance, which would put silver at $41. And if we see falling rates later this year, then $50 cannot be entirely ruled out. Now, interestingly, in a note to clients, analysts at GSC Commodity Intelligence wrote, quote, "Silver is where gold was 2 years ago, deeply underowned and on the verge of explosive revaluation. And unlike gold, silver has scarcity, real-world utility and embedded leverage. From current levels, the upside is enormous." However, in the interest of balance, Bullion Vault's Ash told MarketWatch, quote, "Given the headwinds that silver's industrial demand faces, it's hard to see the metal extending this jump anywhere close to the 2011 and 1980 high of $50 an ounce." Well, it won't be long before we will find out. That said, we are perhaps putting more money on $40 or $41 than we are on $50, certainly this side of September. Our forecast for gold, therefore, this coming week ranges from $3,250 to $3,380, with $3,200 and $3,400 as outliers. Silver we expect to trade, and it could be quite a large difference between 34.50 and 37, with 34 to 38 as outliers. But who knows, if the trend follows what's happened Thursday, Friday, we might see a further spike up even beyond that level, though we suspect that perhaps some calmer views and behavior will take place once the markets open properly tomorrow. What do you think? Please do share your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening. We'd appreciate it if you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, press the bell sign. Have a great and prosperous week ahead. We suspect we're now in for some very exciting times for silver.